Yeah, I think, like he said, he has the momentum, and yeah, he faced some good guys, and he won. He took them out, but like I said, I'm a whole different animal. So let's.
Listen, it's a fighter, you know. I feel on serious for this fight. My prepare the 100% discipline control, but 23 in May we look great fight.
John Fury erupted during the press conference and used the moment to stir more tension around Oleksandr, while also keeping Tyson Fury's name firmly in the conversation. His aggressive warning toward Usyk was not just about Rico Verhoeven, but also a way to remind everyone of the unfinished business between Usyk and Tyson. John clearly believes Tyson Fury is the only man who can truly challenge Usyk, and his emotional outburst helps keep the potential rematch alive in the public spotlight. Oleksandr Usyk spoke calmly, thanking everyone and welcoming the challenge against Rico Verhoeven. He made it clear this fight is his own decision, not pressure from others. Usyk called Rico dangerous but stayed confident, showing his trademark calm mindset and focus as he prepares for another high-level crossover test.
Good. Listen, hi everyone. I'm very glad to be here. I'm very happy back in UK. You know, I missed a little bit. 6 months, yeah, last time. Thank you so much. Thank you organization who do this. Thank you Rico team. For me it's a challenge. A lot of people say, why you choose not boxer? It's a great guy. It's a dangerous guy. You want, you know, please, one time I wanna do what I want, not what need, because a lot of time I do what need another people, and you must you have to boxing like this, you must boxing like this. I say okay. Now I do what I need. Thank you so much.
Tony Bellew believes Rico Verhoeven would struggle under boxing rules compared to kickboxing. He says Usyk will take a few rounds to adjust, but then start solving the puzzle with his timing and IQ. Bellew warns a Rico win would be one of boxing's biggest ever shocks.
If this was a kickboxing match, I'm trying to tell you, Alexander's in an awful lot of trouble. Do not take a kick off him. Thankfully for Oleksandr Usyk, this is a boxing match. And I think once them first 3 or 4 rounds pass, and that awkwardness and stance and style Oleksandr Usyk figures out, I think Rico could be in for a hard night's work.
I mean, someone's saying it could change boxing forever if he wins, Rico. How does Rico go about trying to solve that puzzle of Usyk?
He'd be the greatest shock boxing's ever seen. If Rico Verhoeven is to defeat Oleksandr Usyk, it will be the greatest victory in boxing history.
And I definitely feel like I could give them a good challenge because I've trained with both of them. I know them inside out. So, but for now, the focus is on this weekend.
Oleksandr Usyk described Rico Verhoeven as a dangerous and powerful opponent, respecting his status as undisputed kickboxing champion. He admitted the event carries both show and fight elements, but made it clear that for him this is fully serious. Usyk emphasized intense preparation and total focus on his fight plan.
I'm always like very calculated, but yeah, when I connect, I connect. Like I said, there's a lot of weight behind these punches. So yeah, of course, within the kickboxing sport, I was used to just throwing the kicks and doing my thing. But now we get the opportunity to use the hands more. So Peter is like, oh, he's like crazy excited.
Tony Bellew breaks down just how massive this challenge is for Rico Verhoeven, calling it potentially the greatest upset in boxing history if he wins. He highlights Usyk's elite resume, including victories over Tyson Fury and Daniel Dubois, showing he is still at his absolute peak. Bellew stresses that this is not a comeback opponent or a faded champion, but a dominant force in boxing. That is why Rico stepping in for only his second professional fight makes this crossover even more unbelievable. The gap in experience, skill, and elite-level boxing exposure is what makes this matchup feel almost impossible on paper.
Not a fight I am a massive fan of, and now that I'm free, now that I can kind of, be more open about my opinions on this fight, I fucking hate this fight. I can't stand it. I understand the circus nature of it in terms of like big name kickboxer, one of the best of all time, if not the best of all time, coming in to fight an all-time great in the boxing space in his sport. We saw it with Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury. The only difference there was, I think, more fans of Francis Ngannou, more of a what-if factor because of his punching power and because Fury was 550 pounds in that fight. Accurate, not even exaggerating. We got a masterpiece in terms of what Francis did to the current heavyweight champion of the world. Now, this is a little different because Oleksandr Usyk is a massively different operator than Tyson Fury. He is a far better technical boxer than anyone at heavyweight, and he isn't really susceptible to one-punch KO power the same way Fury is when he comes in out of shape and blubbery. Now, is there the off chance that Rico catches Oleksandr Usyk? Yeah, sure. I understand. It's a fight. Anything can happen. But why is the WBC heavyweight champion of the world not just taking a recess from fighting the biggest and best boxers on the planet when he is the sitting champion, but also putting his title on the line to fight a kickboxer with one professional boxing match in his career? That's the big part.
Simon Jordan suggests the Usyk versus Rico Verhoeven matchup is driven more by business and global attention than pure sporting merit. He questions the logic of a kickboxing star jumping into a heavyweight title-level boxing environment, implying financial and promotional reasons are playing a major role. However, he also admits crossover fights like this are becoming more common because they generate massive worldwide interest. This adds another layer to the discussion, showing that beyond skill and danger, this fight is also about spectacle, marketing, and expanding combat sports into a global entertainment event.
Little space, and I can see how the monetization vehicle of this works, but Usyk wouldn't be doing this unless there's a reason for it. There must be a motivation behind it. It must be some form of derivative as to what happened between the various disciplines crossing over with Ngannou.
Oleksandr Usyk once again downplayed any pressure, making it clear that he treats this as just another boxing fight. He remains calm, focused, and confident in his preparation. Usyk's mindset shows his experience at the highest level, where big occasions do not affect his performance or emotional control.
It's not pressure for me. Listen, it's just a fight. It's a boxing fight. It's a normal. I prepare for this fight. Everything okay.
Peter Fury confirmed that both Oleksandr Usyk and Rico Verhoeven were willing to make this fight happen, describing them as ultimate fighting men. His comments suggest mutual respect between both camps and highlight how naturally this crossover matchup came together due to demand and ambition from both sides.
I understand that he's kind of earned the right to do what you want, but I at least expected it to be some sort of active boxer, someone of some... Not to say I don't actually know much about Van Hooven in terms of a kickboxer of what his quality level is, but what I'm saying is I expected it to be someone of a decent caliber of a professional boxer. But if it's not, then fine. Look, do your thing, do you, and hopefully he returns to actual professional boxing against some of the top elites.
Tony Bellew again emphasizes the magnitude of this crossover, repeating how dominant Oleksandr Usyk is at the very top of heavyweight boxing. He highlights Usyk's victories over elite giants and dangerous contenders, proving he is still in his prime and operating at the highest level. Bellew explains that Rico Verhoeven stepping into only his second professional boxing fight against such an active champion creates an almost impossible challenge. This is why any potential win for Rico would not just be an upset, but one of the biggest shocks in the history of combat sports.
Rico Verhoeven is to defeat Oleksandr Usyk. It will be the greatest victory in boxing history. Yes, it's his second professional fight on paper, but this is a guy whose second professional fight is against the undisputed unified former cruiserweight champion of the world, the current undisputed unified heavyweight champion of the world. He's undefeated. Nobody has been able to touch this guy. It's peak Oleksandr Usyk. He's just defeated a man who's 20 stone and 6'9" in Tyson Fury twice. He's just defeated a record machine in Daniel Dubois who was on the run of his life. This isn't a guy who's washed up having a comeback fight against somebody. This is a guy in his peak and in his prime. Put that into perspective. If Rico Verhoeven is to do this, it's off the Richter scale. This is bigger than Buster Douglas knocking out Mike Tyson. That's how big this is. This would be the greatest shock in boxing history.
Rico Verhoeven showed huge respect toward Oleksandr Usyk by comparing him to himself in kickboxing, calling both fighters dominant forces in their own sports. He praised Usyk's long-term unbeaten run and consistent high-level performances against elite opposition. Rico admitted that facing Usyk would be the ultimate challenge and a cherry on the cake moment in his career. This shows Rico is not underestimating the boxing champion at all, but instead sees this crossover as a legacy-defining opportunity. At the same time, it highlights just how rare it is for two reigning dominant champions from different combat sports to even consider sharing a competitive space like this.
Sure. And Oleksandr Usyk is the Rico Verhoeven in boxing.
Yeah.
So like he's been dominating for so long and in such phenomenal fashion. So I was like, wow, if we could do this, that would be like the cherry.
Liam Goff strongly criticized the fight, calling it a gimmick and questioning the legitimacy of Rico Verhoeven getting a shot at the WBC heavyweight level. He pointed out Rico's limited boxing record and argued that many active contenders are being ignored in favor of a crossover attraction. Despite the criticism, Usyk's name at the top of the heavyweight rankings shows why any fight involving him instantly becomes controversial. This reaction highlights the divide in boxing fans, with some seeing it as entertainment while others view it as unfair to ranked contenders waiting for their title opportunity.
This is a joke. This is nothing but a gimmick fight, and it's even more shameless considering the fact, one, it's on pay-per-view, and two, it's for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the world. Does Rico Verhoeven, with his one win over a decade ago against the guy who was 0-5, deserve a world title shot? Answers on a postcard. Can you play the recorder? No. That's the answer. This is shocking. Shocking stuff from Oleksandr Usyk. This is Oleksandr Usyk picking money over legacy.
Ade Oladipo highlighted Rico Verhoeven's reputation as one of the greatest kickboxers of all time, rising from prince to king of the sport. He acknowledged Rico's skill level and solid hand ability, showing that this is not a random opponent but a highly respected champion in his own field. However, he also subtly hinted at the difference between kickboxing and elite boxing, suggesting curiosity about how Rico's skills will translate into a pure boxing environment against someone like Usyk. This sets up the core debate of experience versus crossover talent.
Oleksandr Usyk steps in and will take on one of the greatest kickboxers of all time. I'm actually quite a big kickboxing fan, so I know quite a lot about him. I've watched a few of his fights over the years. They used to call him the Prince of Kickboxing, and then he elevated to the King of Kickboxing. I mean, he's a very, very, very good kickboxer. Who's got decent hands. I can't lie to you. It's funny.
Fabio Wardley expressed mixed feelings about Usyk choosing Rico Verhoeven, saying he expected a more traditional active boxer rather than a kickboxing star. He admitted respect for Usyk's right to choose opponents, but questioned the sporting logic behind the matchup. Wardley also suggested that after this crossover experiment, Usyk should return to facing top-ranked professional boxers. This reflects a common view in the boxing world where some see this fight as entertainment rather than a true sporting progression in the heavyweight division.
Boxer for a long time and not really done much in boxing at all to warrant a shot at Oleksandr Usyk when there's a queue so big. And
Indeed.
You know what I mean? And that's the most important thing. The people who are sitting waiting for their shot in line are going to be fuming over this. Some would say, to counter that argument, Usyk's probably earned the right to have an easier one after what he's done.
After breaking down the full inside camp story of Oleksandr Usyk and Rico Verhoeven, one thing is clear: this is not a normal boxing narrative. It is a full-scale crossover debate that has divided fans, fighters, and analysts. Usyk stands as one of the most complete and dominant heavyweight champions of this era, with elite footwork, ring IQ, and the ability to solve any style in front of him. On the other side, Rico Verhoeven brings years of dominance in kickboxing, carrying power, discipline, and a winning mentality that has made him a long-term champion in his own sport. If Usyk wins this matchup, it only strengthens his legacy as a generational great who can handle any style thrown at him. But if Rico shocks the world and pulls off the upset, it would instantly become one of the biggest crossover victories in combat sports history, and completely change how fighters from different disciplines are viewed. Mentally, Usyk looks calm, calculated, and untouched by pressure, while Rico shows ambition, respect, and hunger to test himself at the highest level. That contrast is what makes this so interesting. In the end, the biggest question remains whether boxing IQ will always beat raw power and kickboxing pedigree when everything is on the line. Now tell us in the comments who you think wins this clash, and make sure you subscribe for more inside camp breakdowns and boxing stories.